Hanging around after last orders, still so far from home.
Hi Sagittarius, welcome to your January 2025 horoscope. I am so excited to let you know that I'm hosting an in-person workshop here in Amsterdam, the Netherlands. So if you live close by and would like to meet me in person, I would love to see you there on January 25th, together with Atelier Clay. We'll be building a bowl using our hands while having a discussion about the astrology of this year of 2025. So if you would like to reserve your spot, go ahead and email Atelier Clay using this email address that you see on the screen right now. And I've also left all the details about the workshop for you in the comments. I'm so excited, and I'm really excited to meet hopefully some of you there as well. But Sagittarius, here's what you can expect in January. We start the month on January 3rd with an opposition between Mars and Pluto. These two planets are opposing each other in your 3rd and 9th houses. This means that you might face some power struggles, you might face some frustrations, you might face some things going starting and stopping, a feeling of things stalling, not going anywhere. And for you specifically, Sagittarius, this might be coming up with any travel you're doing, any educational programs that you're signing up for, maybe even things to do with the legal system. And specifically, you might also find that perhaps some of these things are happening with your neighbors, with your siblings, and maybe some of the power struggles are coming from that area. And in general, you will see some frustrations between these two sides of you, the side of you that's really focused on the day-to-day, all the details, ingesting all the information, being on top of everything, and this other part of you that is able to remove yourself from the information overload, to prioritize, to determine a focus, and to go forward. So you might find that these two approaches of life are quite front and center for you at the beginning of the month. 3 days later, on January 6th, Mars will progress so far, or will retrograde so far back that it leaves your 9th house and enters your 8th house, or Cancer. And with Mars entering your 8th house, you might start to find that now this frustration or this feeling of stalling and things not going anywhere now moves to more of an inner part of your world, moves more towards your vulnerability and intimacy. Maybe you are trying to be more intimate with your partner, but your efforts are not going anywhere. Maybe you're trying to open up and be more vulnerable, but again, there's a feeling of maybe you're not understood, or there's a feeling of frustration when you try to do so. So the shift, the energy will shift to a different part of your life. Mars will stay retrograde for a little while longer. It will go direct in February. So do try your best to deal with this, and then don't forget that this is temporary, and we will meet each other on the other side very soon. A couple of days later, on January 12th, we have the nodes shift signs. The North Node will enter Pisces, or your 4th house, and the South Node will enter Virgo, or your 10th house. Sagittarius, because this is happening in 2 very prominent houses in your chart, you will probably find that the next 1.5 years lead to a lot of karmic events, a lot of outward changes in your life. So that's very exciting for you. Specifically, you will probably be asked for the next 1.5 years to step away from this part of you that's overly focused on your career, overly focused on what others think of you and how they perceive you, and become more focused on your internal world, on what you think of yourself. who you are behind closed doors, with your home, with your family, and if your home behind closed doors is a warm and loving space. All of that being said, I will do a dedicated live video here on YouTube very soon to dive into this nodal shift. So if you want to learn more about it and its effect for you, make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss the live. The next day, on January 13th, we have a full moon in Cancer in your 8th house. This could be quite an emotional moon because it is in Cancer, and especially for you, Sagittarius, because it's happening in your 8th house, which is already such a deep emotional house. And with this full moon, what you're seeing is that you will reap what you sowed when it comes to your intimate relationships, when it comes to your vulnerability. If you were working there with pure intentions, if you've been trying your hardest to be more vulnerable, if you've been trying hard to take a look at the parts of life that scare you, to take a look at your shadows, your secrets, then of course this full moon could also manifest in very beautiful fruits of your labor. Because the retrograde Mars is actually very close to the moon during this full moon, there could be a tendency to suppress any frustrations, any anger, feelings of anger that are coming up. So do keep an eye on that, and do fall back on any healthy methods that you have of expressing yourself, punching pillows, going for runs, whatever they may be. And one more thing I will add during this full moon is that we have a square between Venus and Jupiter, which can have a tendency for us to overindulge. So especially with such an emotional moon, I can imagine that we might try to comfort ourselves with our favorite pleasures, whatever they may be: chocolate, fatty things, alcohol, sleep, whatever. But just be very mindful to not go too far with those, because sometimes too much of a good thing can also be bad. And then we reach a bit of a tough 5-day period between January 16th and January 21st. This is because we have the Sun activating the same part where we had the opposition between Mars and Pluto. The Sun will oppose Mars, and after a couple of days, it will conjunct Pluto. Therefore, during the 16th and the 21st, you might see the same events, the same issues, the same feelings coming up when that Mars-Pluto opposition happened. And I will add that while the Mars and Pluto opposition was happening, Venus had just entered Pisces, so there was a bit more of a harmonious little something during that opposition. This time, during this week, Venus is a bit more challenged. Venus will be conjunct Saturn, and this will be happening in your 4th house. So you might find that while you're going through the same power struggles, the same frustrations, that things at your home or with your family are also maybe facing some roadblocks, facing a little bit of a challenging time. And I think that doesn't help. It doesn't help to the already challenging 5-day period that we have. But good news is that we do finish off the month on a good note. We end off on January 29th with a new moon in Aquarius, and 2 days later on the 31st with Uranus going direct. So this new moon in Aquarius is a new beginning, a new chapter, Sagittarius. For you, it's happening in your 3rd house, your 3rd house of communication, your 3rd house of your neighbors and your siblings. So you should have some nice energy there, some nice inspiration on some new things you want to try out, maybe new bonds, relationships you want to form, new approaches you want to take. And because Uranus is just about to go direct 2 days later, you will still feel that energy shifting, and you will most likely feel much more encouraged to take a unique approach with this new chapter, to not be afraid as much about what society might think or do things according to what is expected of you. And I will add that Venus is done with its conjunction with Saturn, is now moving towards a beautiful conjunction with Neptune in the North Node, which will happen in February, so we'll talk about it then. But you'll still feel this beautiful energy building up in your home area. So honestly, I would encourage you to really bask in that, spend time with your family, spend time alone, spend time in your home, because you will find that there's probably a lot of inspiration, beauty, and love coming from that area, specifically Sagittarius. So that is your January 2025 horoscope. We saw a couple of very prominent themes: communication, family or your home, of course, your career, as well as education, travel. And then, of course, we talked a little bit about vulnerability and intimacy as well. It's a really nice sort of bundle of things to focus on for January, Sagittarius. I hope that you're able to learn and grow, especially through those challenging times. And I also hope that if you live in the Netherlands, you're able to join me and Atelier Clay on January 25th for the workshop. We'll get to talk about the 2025 astrology while building a beautiful bowl using our own hands. I'll leave the details in the comments, and don't forget to reserve your spot. You can message this email that you see on the screen. Thanks, Sagittarius. Happy January, Happy New Year again, and I hope to see you again soon.